All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Baker Mayfield to the 49ers? Ah! Say it ain't so. Well, okay, that was my first reaction. When I first heard the story, and what is the story? If you're driving around going, what is this story? Baker Mayfield, who was the number one pick in the 2018 draft, the same Baker Mayfield that's played for three teams since 2021. He played for the Rams last year after the Panthers waived him in the middle of the season. Well, according to Albert Breer, he says the 49ers are going to try to sign Baker Mayfield to a cheap one-year deal this offseason. And here's the quote from Albert Breer. He says, Niners general manager John Lynch conceded this week that the timing of Brock Purdy's surgery on his injured right elbow could force the team's hand on looking for a veteran to throw into the mix. I don't, for what it's worth, think that San Francisco is going to break the bank, but I could absolutely see Lynch and Kyle Shanahan going in on someone like Baker Mayfield, who has experience in that type of offense and a boatload of starting experience. Keep an eye on that one. All right, that's the report. You know, if the 49ers could have claimed Baker Mayfield off waivers last year, they could have, but they opted not to. Now, it's kind of there's a lot to read into this one. There's a lot to unpack. If the Niners think that they need to sign Baker Mayfield, that could be an indication that they expect Brock Purdy to miss some of the 2023 season following the elbow surgery. He hasn't had the procedure yet, and we don't know to what degree. I was expecting the 49ers to go with a veteran quarterback, and I said it. I said, it's going to be the kind of quarterback that potentially could be a one, potentially could be a two, or potentially could be a three. And in a lot of ways, this is a guy. Now, I would say Marcus Mariota would be my choice instead of Baker Mayfield, but in a lot of ways, they're very similar. They both have started, they both have kind of hit the skids as far as their career is concerned, and they're both out there available. Now, let's look at what Baker Mayfield really is. He's 6'1", he's 215 pounds, he's 27 years old. He has a really good arm. This guy was the first pick in the draft not that long ago, 2018 draft, I should say. He was the first pick overall. This year in 2022, he threw for 2,163 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 picks. So hardly a great season for Baker this year. He had 4 touchdowns and 2 picks with the Rams. He had 6 touchdowns and 6 picks with the Panthers. In 2021, in 14 games with the Browns, he had 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. 2020 with the Browns, he had a real strong year, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 2019, he was 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. And his first year, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He has been sacked an awful lot. I mean, if you look at 43 sacks in 2021, 40 sacks in 2019, that probably has a little something to do with why he has struggled and maybe lost a little confidence. You look at his completion percentage throughout his career, it goes 63.8 in his first year, then dropped to 59.4, 62.8, 60.5 in 2021, 57.8 with the Panthers last year, and then 63.6 with the Rams. 5 games with the Rams, 7 games with the Panthers in 2022. All right, a couple perspectives on this. One, I think there was no doubt that Baker Mayfield gave the Rams an immediate upgrade at quarterback. He's got arm talent. There's no question about it. Baker Mayfield has arm talent. And, he had led that comeback, that last minute comeback victory over the Raiders. As far as his career, he's had some injuries. He's done a ton of commercials. I've been saying it for years. I think his commercial to touchdown ratio needs improvement. But ultimately, what I'm saying by that is just he's done way too many commercials, and he's kind of put the cart before the horse as far as cashing in on his popularity. But the Niners could do worse if their quarterback room is going to be Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Baker Mayfield. They could do worse. I think the one takeaway after watching the Eagles NFC Championship game, or the loss to the Eagles in that NFC Championship game, is that the 49ers have to go forward with 3 quarterbacks that can actually play. Not old guys who are hanging on, not, some young guy who doesn't know how to play, doesn't know the offense at all, but he's just kind of there for development. You want to put a quarterback on the practice squad, a rookie, I would do it. And there's more than a few that I like in this draft. I really love Clayton Tune out of Houston. Yeah, if you could get Clayton Tune and put him on the practice squad, or Jake Hayner, put him on the practice squad, or Tanner McKee, put him on the practice squad. Malik Cunningham, really athletic quarterback from Louisville, put him on the practice squad. If you could get a quarterback in the draft that you like, and we're able to carry that quarterback and protect that quarterback on the practice squad all year long. And if the NFL does change their rules where, a third quarterback could dress on game days, then, I think Baker Mayfield makes sense. Mayfield has a really, really good arm. He has tremendous arm talent. And I would love to see what a guy like Mayfield, who really needs to rebuild his career, but he's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of, he's got a lot of competitiveness. I think in some ways we have a more of a negative feeling about Baker Mayfield for the things he's said and done. And yeah, there may be a little Nick Bosa, Baker Mayfield kissing and making up, after some of the, after the plant the flag stuff, and Bosa's been kind of harassing Baker, and Baker kind of, started it by planting his flag in the middle of the horseshoe, and so on and so forth. There may be a little fences to be mended there, but this is, in a lot of ways, exactly what the doctor ordered. Can you win games with Brock? I believe you can. Can you win games with Trey Lance? I believe they can. Can you win games with Baker Mayfield? I believe they could. And I think if for Baker, it's probably smart to come to a team like the 49ers, play under a Kyle Shanahan and an offense that's really loaded with all kinds of weapons. I think it makes sense. I think it absolutely makes sense. So my first inclination is no, hell no. I don't want Baker Mayfield. Are you kidding me? No, I don't want any part of Baker Mayfield. But when you start to think about it, and you start to think about the kinds of players that they're going to be able to attract, they're not offering the number one job. They're not. They're not offering even a solid number 2 job. So you got to think that the 49ers are going to have a hard time finding anybody who has starting caliber experience to join them, because they're really only offering the 3rd job and a chance to be the number 2, and an opportunity, if guys get injured, to potentially quarterback maybe the NFC's most talented offense, maybe on a playoff run, maybe on a Super Bowl run. So for Baker Mayfield, I think it's really smart on his part to get into the 49ers and into Kyle Shanahan's offense and be surrounded by these weapons. The other reason I kind of like the fit is just from the standpoint is Baker can move around a little bit. And the 49ers offensive line, is not been the best. And they could use a quarterback who had a little bit of mobility. That was, to me, Baker Mayfield is a more controversial, shorter, a little bit more physically beat up Marcus Mariota. Mariota can run. Mariota started. He's backed up. He was drafted really high. It hasn't worked out. In a lot of ways, all those same things can be said about Baker Mayfield. So the first inclination is to say, God, no, my God, Baker Mayfield, that's a terrible decision. But if Baker comes in with the right attitude, if they could get him for, let's say, $5 million or less, if they could somehow, squeeze his salary into their very tight salary cap with his, and do all the things they want to do, extend Ayuk and extend Bosa and sign your draft picks and be competitive for a free agent or two of note. You know what? As much as my first inclination is to say, no, God, no. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Is he an upgrade from Josh Johnson? No rip on Josh, but yes, I think there's no doubt he is. Is he old? No. Is he motivated? Yeah. He's a 27 going on 28-year-old quarterback who has a ton of talent, a lot of moxie, has a big time arm, and is, because of circumstances, some of his own doing, some that have no, that he had no control over, he's kind of bounced around. But I think we saw a little bit about what he could be in a more structured, better winning environment with the Rams. And I think if you put Baker Mayfield in the 49er offense, the bottom line is, Brock Purdy's surgery could be more complicated. And he theoretically could miss, a month or two of the season. And Trey Lance, even though I think the world of his long-term potential, and I'm absolutely convinced that Trey is going to be a star quarterback at some point, but I've said it more than once. I don't think that's going to be right away. And I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it's going to take a while. It could take 2 years. It could take 3 years. So the 49ers are a Super Bowl contender without a doubt. They've got one of the best rosters, and they likely will have, if not the best, they might have the best or the second best roster in the NFC. They will undoubtedly be one of the Super Bowl favorites going into training camp. And they may not have a quarterback that they can win with. What if Brock isn't ready to go until Christmas time and Trey's really struggling to pick up the offense or getting hurt, like he got hurt in the past? What if Trey stays healthy but is just struggling? The 49ers have to have more than just, hey, Jake Haener, get in there. You're a rookie. They cannot put that on a rookie's shoulders. I love Clayton Tune. I think Jake Hayner's really good. I think both those guys would be great picks in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. But what I feel comfortable saying here are the keys to the kingdom. You're running the show. Take this team to the Super Bowl. That's a freaking tall ask. That is asking a ton. With Baker Mayfield, I think they've got a guy who's been in the fire. He's trying to rebuild his value. This is probably the ideal place to do exactly that. And if Brock's out until December, we don't know that, but if he is, and Trey gets hurt or in any way struggles to make the transition to full-time starter, you've got a proven NFL quarterback that I'm pretty convinced you can win with. So Baker Mayfield to the Niners. I started the video by going, no. I'll finish the video by saying, hell yes. Hell yes. Bring Baker here, and he can plant the flag at the 50 at Levi Stadium. And you know what? The bottom line is you got to have 3 real legit NFL quarterbacks. You need 3 quarterbacks, but what you really need is 3 starting quarterbacks, because your season cannot end because you lose the quarterback. 95% of the teams in the NFL, they lose their starter, they're done. If the Niners lose Brock Purdy, they cannot be done. If they lose Trey Lance, they cannot be done. They have to have a 3rd quarterback who can start games and win games and maybe even win games in the playoffs. And I think Baker Mayfield is it. All right, for more Pig in a Pickle Krug Show videos, check out the Krug Show on YouTube. Thanks for hanging around. Hope you enjoyed the video.